crazy story. Just like the others, how am I always involved? I can't explain it. Must be something in the air, or maybe it's just me. Is it me? Is it me? I can't explain what else.
Welcome back, everyone, to Is It Me for another episode. I am so excited about the next 4 episodes. This is like a series I've been dreaming of, and we're finally doing it. I'm your host, Michelle Forrester. Thank you so much for being here. Let me introduce you to some of my favorite people in the entire world, truly. They're here today. They're all women. We're 4 women on a microphone, and nobody's asking us questions about sex. So it's like really, I think, kind of revolutionary. First guest is Eva Alexopoulos. I've never been able to say her last name.
I'm so proud of you.
Such a funny comedian, producer extraordinaire, just such a inspiring woman in the comedy scene. Kira Carlton is here. She's a hilarious comedian, content creator, social, all that fun stuff. And then we have another creative who I'm so excited to have, Ariane. How are you?
Hello, I'm great. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have all of you here.
I feel like this has been like months in the making of us trying to like get the like 4 of us in the same room.
The thing is with women is that we're always doing a million things. So syncing up the schedules.
We're booked and busy.
And never feeling like it's enough.
Yeah. Never feeling like it's
enough.
Yeah. How are you guys feeling?
I'm feeling good right now because I'm looking at the 4 of you, but October's been...
We're in November, but
thanks for good October was.
Thanks for joining us here.
What year is that?
Have you been having a rough November? A rough October, November?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people have. I feel like the world is crazy and Jada Pinkett Smith won't shut the fuck up.
Honestly, I don't keep up with Jada's stuff, but like what's she saying? What's she doing?
Yeah, I haven't been keeping up with that
She
either.
is Tupac. She shot Tupac. She designed Tupac's funeral jacket. Like Jada's doing it all except for Will. But my For You page is just still flooded with Jada. And I'm like, why?
Oh. Yeah.
I mean, I had a one day where I'll like do a deep dive, get up to date, and then I'm like, okay. But I feel like it's just, that level of celebrity. I think it was just better when we didn't know anything about their. It's not even like we want to know. We're like, please stop. Like we're good. Like we just like want to see you on screen. We don't need to know your personal business. Like we have podcasts, other people who are doing it. Like not everyone has to be a reality TV person. So I think that's more like I'm sure it's complicated. And I'm sure there's 2 sides and this, and I just wish I didn't know anything.
Yeah, I don't need to have an opinion on like Jada Pinkett Smith's sex life. Like I'm good. I'll never meet her,
Yeah, also I think at that level, it's so true. At that level,
She's
at that level, those celebrities are not living relatable lives.
No.
So the relationships are like nothing we could ever relate to.
It's like, yeah, I fucked my son's friend. So what? Who hasn't?
Yeah, like forming opinions on like people's lives that are so like alienated from the lives that we live is like insane. Like we have nothing in common with like billionaires, like
truly nothing.
It's like if anything, they've achieved everything they want to achieve. So now they're looking like for drama almost, It's like it just goes out to show you're like, oh, okay, being successful just seems super hard. Like that's what it do.
Well, it's just like you can't buy contentness. Like you just really can't ever be content with yourself, no matter where you are in your career.
No. No.
And October's been hard.
September's been the worst.
September's been the worst.
It's so interesting that you say that because I think about this all the time. I don't know if all of you think about this, but in this industry that we're in, sometimes do you ever like wake up and you're like, oh no, I'm in the entertainment industry?
Yeah. I was going to be a teacher. I was going to be a marine biologist or a veterinarian. And I was like,
so many different career paths. We're going to be all of those things.
You can still do it.
The ADHD was going to let you be all of those things.
Just go back to Guelph.
Honestly, I'm like consistent. I wake up every day and I'm like, okay, one part of me wants to do this and like stay in comedy or in the comedy sphere, in the entertainment sphere and keep working in this. And the other part of me is like, I'm going to find a remote location. I'm going to find a little house on a little beach and I'm never going to talk to anyone ever again.
I feel that so hard. Sometimes I'm like, should I just open up a shack in Costa Rica and just call it?
That's it. Should I become a baker in Nevada? Maybe I should.
Yeah.
I might be happier. Probably be happier.
I wonder about that. But then the other part of me is like, I really love that fast life stuff. And I think each year when you close the gap a little bit more, like, I don't know when you started, but when I started, it's so funny because like I think about the people I started with. When I started, there was these like figures that I was like, wow, they're so good. You know, they're so good. And then like each year you like close the gap, or like you do a show and you're like on with someone and you're like, wow, like I would have never thought, like, and then you're like, wow, I'm really like, this is so fun, you know, and you just want the lifestyle. But then I always have to remind myself, I'm like, there's so many shitty things about the lifestyle too. And then also the people, I think it like changes people's, whether they're genuine or not, like people in the entertainment industry, it's a rough industry for a reason.
Well, yeah, but like the more you grow, I find the more that you truly learn and you like take in, and kind of like the rose-colored glasses slowly come off, and then you realize like all of those stories of those other female comics or comics in general who spoke about how hard it is once you enter that real sphere. You're like, oh, they really walked so we could jog. Like it's yeah, I don't know.
I literally told name drop Oren. I literally was talking to Oren about that exact thing because I was like, because I remember when we first started doing comedy, me and Michelle were like, oh my God, like we would never be as good as like Oren Shaviro or like Wasim. Like we're never going to be as good as them because they're so good. And they still are like fantastic comics. Yeah. Like I still look up to them. But now I'm like friends with them. And so I was like literally telling Oren, I was like, yeah, me and Michelle used to like fangirl over you. And now we're like on shows with you. And he was like, oh, thanks. And I was like, no, I didn't mean it as an insult. Like you're still great. But it's like, it's nice to see that you can like,
no, but actually it's funny because you guys are kind of sharing the negative, but in a way I think it's a lot of it is the positive. And I think that like for me, it's like 2 years ago, I decided I wanted to work in comedy. And you had Tyler Lemko on their podcast recently, and he's the first person I told because he's so someone that I can share something with that he's not going to judge and be like encouraging about it.
Right.
And not, like I constantly have to like check in with myself because, you know, I've achieved so many great things, but when you're in it, you kind of like don't see it. And then you focus on like the negative or like one little annoying thing. And then I kind of need to see, like reel it back in and see the big picture of what we get to do and how awesome it is. And it's funny that you're talking about people that you look up to. Like I have that in my life, like very sporadically, like, oh, this owner of this coffee shop, I think he's so cool. Like, I'd love to be friends with this person. But it's like, I just kind of say it in my head, or like, I feel like I've been doing this since high school. And then all of a sudden, like, I won't force anything. Life will just align. And one day I'm going to look up and be like, oh, that's my friend. Like, there's one day I wanted this person. Like, I just kind of, it was something I would just kind of, wouldn't that be nice? And then when it happens, you're like, oh, that's so cool. And there's so many people that, like, I'll randomly look up to. Like, there's this comedian called Ivy Miller, who's like, I'm always attracted by multidimensional people. So it's like she's a surfer, comedian. She does these like 6 shows with Red Bull. She does these skits. Also now she wants to be a singer-songwriter. She just like creates,
she's a full, like fledged artist in many disciplines, but also athlete.
Athlete too. And then one day I was just like, I follow this girl and I find her inspiring. Let me see if I can listen to what she's like. And I like put her name in the podcast. And then she talked about a bunch of different things that I now started doing it. And it's like, oh, actually my life, like when I compare myself to people on Instagram, I think, oh, my life's not good. I don't have kids. But when I compare myself to people I actually look up to, I'm like, oh, my life is very similar to actually what I do want to become.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And isn't that such a crazy realization? I relate to that so hard. Like, I think we talked about that this summer, but it was like a summer ago. The 4 of us went to like a show, right? And we all went to the same show together. Oh, yeah, I remember. We went to the Nasty show together. Yeah. And then we were all like, and at that time, like, I think it was such a confusing time for maybe all of us. Like, obviously we were at different levels. I mean, I think you were doing what you loved, but like, we were still all kind of like, not noobs, but I just felt there was this energy. We had this like dreamer energy, you know? And then within, like, we still have it, of course, but just like to look that like a year later, we were able to like, exactly a year later, we were able to like look back and go, wow, like a year ago, we were just like sitting at a table watching the Nasty show, just being like kind of like fans. And then a year later, what all of us achieved was just like so insane. And I remember just being like, wow, like I can't wait till next year. You know, like Eva, you had your show as like part of the, like Kickback was like humongous. You hit some incredible milestones with Kickback. Like Kira, you too with your career, like just like you're interviewing some of like the coolest people ever, and like insane. Like we were all you two.
You also hosted like your own show.
You hosted your own show. Like you were just like everything. Weekends at the Nest. Like it was just like I was just able to chart the progress, and it was just such a beautiful like moment that I was like, fuck yeah, this is what coming up with people is like.
Yeah, but also what's cool is that the excitement of these little conversations about like your creative projects and stuff, they're still continuing in the same way. It's not like everything changes, but the core of like what's fun about being in comedy is the things you get to talk about. It's the things that, I have my 9 to 5 that's creative, but then I have like all these fun creative conversations with my friends where I have no attachment to their project. For instance, this podcast that you've been talking about, and like, I have ideas, and then we get to share. And also I was reading a book, the best advice you can get is from your creative peers, not managers or yourself, because you think all your ideas are amazing. So it's like you gotta have someone. And it's interesting because I feel like I get to be creative at work, then I get to be creative on just things that I'm like my hobbies, like photography or clips or like whatever. But then I get to have these creative friends who I'm constantly stimulated by those conversations. And then when the projects come together, you're like, oh, that's so cool. Like we did this in a way. We all did it separately, but we were in it together.
I think it's a testament. It's so important, like as you grow in comedy or really any career, it's so important to have your crew and your real crew, not just like everyone that you're friends with or you see at the club or this and that. I'm talking like when you feel your worst, when you feel like you want to give up, when you feel like you're the worst comic ever, all of the imposter syndrome just comes seeping in. Like I can safely say the 3 people sitting at this table have gotten me through some incredibly difficult times. And I don't even think I would have been able to push through if I didn't have at least those 2 and 3 people who really, really believe in you, but can also check you, but can also validate you. And that's kind of like the silver lining is that when you find your group and you do things together, it's impossible not to grow. Like Rome wasn't built by one person. It wasn't built in a day, but I think it's really, really important to just have your people there because it's such like an emotional roller coaster to be an artist in general. Like love what you do and hate what you create sometimes. And
hate everything you create. Hate everything.
You need your friends.
Hate yourself constantly.
You need your people to just be like, no, you're crazy right now. Like this is great. Like this morning I called Michelle, full panic attack mode. The same way I did on the date yesterday. The date was at 4. I woke up at 9. I'm like, I'll never make it. I'll never make it.
That's why I like having female friendships. I feel like going up in an industry, especially like this, that's so male dominated, and like a really like powerful female friend group is like really dope. Like that's like the shit that really like puts fire under your ass. Like
having relationships with women in comedy, I can say that are based on support and just mutual support, and exactly kind of you're saying, all of us doing like different projects, but always like supporting each other, showing up for each other in ways, whether it be like bouncing off ideas or just like collaborating on things or just showing up and like watching what your friend achieved, like having that in a way where it's like nothing, there's no like competition involved. It's just so important and crucial. And I agree with you completely. Like I think with women, if you're a woman in stand-up, like find another woman or find like 2 other women that you can fuck with. I have some male comics and of course in my life that have, I mean, I wouldn't even be here with one of them. You know what I mean? With so many of them. My producer is a man. You know what I mean? Like, so there are, of course, like there's going to be there's a lot of men that have helped me. But it's just so important to also just find women to work with.
I also think it's a space, like, you know, before working in comedy, and I still consider myself an entrepreneur, but like running a business is like very masculine energy. So it's like interesting to also be surrounded with women where I'm kind of able to find a balance of like, no, I can be in my creative masculine energy, but in my feminine at the same time. I don't have to choose one depending on the career that I'm doing. You know, sometimes like even with Pantelis, he jokes about like my style and how I like to dress like I'm going somewhere important every day, but it's actually something new that I've been doing because I'm like, that's part of my creativity, and it's my feminine energy, and I can bring that to the table into my craft. And I'm sure in stand-up, for instance, dressing, like how many girls say, oh, I used to hide and wear hoodies so people take me seriously.
Yeah, I still do that.
But that's okay too. But it's like, even for me, it's like in meetings, you don't want them to see you as a woman, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like no. But I think that being able to speak about those things with your girlfriends and stuff, you're like, oh, cool. I was with my guy friends today, and now I have a perfect balance of just being myself all the time, instead of when I'm with one person I act a certain way, and then when I'm the other. And I'm sure for your craft it also helps to
and I think what I've noticed a lot about relationships with like men versus women, especially in stand-up, is like sometimes men will play like the devil's advocate a little bit more. And so if I'm like, I'm feeling this way, and then, you know, they're listening, but they're also they're challenging you. They're also like challenging me to think a different way, a different perspective, a different perception. And so sometimes it makes you feel like, oh, like, am I feeling this wrong? Like, did I misread the situation? And sometimes just like, you know, having a conversation with a guy, taking, you know, the aspects of it that are important, but then also just going to a man being okay, so like, am I insane?
Am I crazy?
Is it me? Like, and then having just them be like, no, I feel that completely.
Yeah.
You know, because there's instances too, like this industry, I don't like, this industry is 15 years behind still. I think there's a lot of really active sexism in stand-up, and it's not to like cry about it or whatever. I think, you know, I'm here, I'm going to be here. This is the industry I've chosen to be in. So I take the sexism as kind of part of it. But there are moments where I'm like, this happened. Like recently something happened to me where I was like, this feels sexist. And then, you know, and I think when I talk to women about it, they're like, that's fucked up. Like, that's super fucked up. That's so sexist, whatever. And then sometimes I'll talk to men about it and they'll be like, oh yeah, like that might be a little bit bait, but like maybe it's not, you know, like they're a bit more optimistic about whether it's sexist or not. Yeah. And it's just nice to not feel like I'm like crying wolf on sexism.
Well, I feel like some people would say like, oh, you want confirmation bias, like you want to be friends with people that agree with you, and it's not even that. It's like speaking to women is like a mutual understanding. Like it's not confirmation bias. It's not like a woman being like, you're right, you're so right, you're so right. It's like, no, she actually understands what the fuck I'm saying, and she's been through it, and it's nice when we like can have that moment of both being like, that's weird and sucky, and then we can like, you know, like have a drink and hug, and it's okay. Yeah. But it's nice to have like the male friendships just for like a little bit of a different perspective too. But
absolutely
having it all,
just having it
balance. Also, as comedians, it's like your career is to be super introspective. Like I try to explain to my non-comic friends like why it's so fun to hang out with comics, and why it's like, I just went to New York and most of the trip was like sitting in a random taco spot talking for 3 hours. Like, who cares? We didn't go to the fanciest restaurants. We didn't. When I'm with the girls, it's like all about that. Like all the aesthetic. With the comics, women or guys, it's more about like the quality conversations. And it's funny because you say, yeah, of course you like hang out with comics because it's funny. And I'm like, it's not really because it's funny all the time. It's more like we dive into everything in such a like, no, let's see how we feel about it. Let's have everyone at the table tell us how they feel about it based on their background, based on their experiences. And that's kind of the fun.
Yeah. It's like a group of people. I don't know if you ever felt this way, but sometimes when I was with people that weren't comics, before I was a stand-up, I would try and have these like really deep conversations about like specific topics or like specific feelings. Like I would try and kind of do what we do on stage, which is like explain exactly how I was feeling, or even bring up like trauma that like you felt like you wanted to talk about. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, sometimes my friends would be like, what? Like, what are we, like, this is too much. But I find with comedians, I finally found like my people that are like willing to like dissect everything, because there is like so much truth seeking in joke writing, right? Like at the end of the day, you're trying to find like the most like truthful part of what you're saying, because that's what's going to resonate with people in the audience. And so like you just have these like truth seeking conversations. Like the other night I was with 2 other comics, and we were just talking about like how, like our parents and like our parents' relationships, and like just going so deep into like what was happening, and like sharing what was going on and how our experience was when we were like kids. And I feel like I maybe could have had that conversation with like, you know, my best friend who's not a comic, but like I can have that conversation with strangers, with comedians. Like they're just so open to like talking about everything. in like a really, and then also there's like the riffing and the jumping.
Yeah, it keeps it light. Like you can talk about dark shit, but because like it's gonna be like no matter how deep and dark you get with other comics, someone's gonna pull it out and just like make it light again, so that you leave the conversation being like, I'm okay. Like it's like therapy with a side of like clowning, like it's just like good.
Yes, it's therapy clowning. It's like you can make jokes. Like I feel like I've made so many suicide jokes in front of comics, and they're like, "Yo, I feel you." Like, yeah.
So I'll tell my friends like an idea I have for like a movie or a skit that like, because I like cringe funny, like it's like so sad, it's funny, And then
like what? Like
then
what
they'll
would
be
an
like,
example.
That's really sad. Okay, I'll give you. Well, I was watching like Crashing recently, the Pete Holmes show that I've already like seen 4 times.
Love that show.
But it's like those scenes that are like, you're like, that's so embarrassing. But it's like the funny, like I have a lot of situations with my mom that I would share with my ex who's a comic, and he's like, you need to write a whole show. But I would come and crying, and he'd make it funny, in the end. And so I had this idea for like one scene, where basically a girl decides to like challenge herself to take action and failing in life so that she can like move forward. Like I've told you about it a little bit, but I'll just tell you quickly. So she's dating this guy who like doesn't take her seriously, and this is all made up, okay?
And it's obviously not anything real.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Completely hypothetical.
Nothing to do with the guy I went on a date with last month.
Not about
yesterday.
This is not real.
So basically this guy who like, only shows up at 11 p.m., like doesn't take her seriously or whatever. And her friend kind of confronts her and is like, instead of complaining about him, like, why don't you just tell him what you want from him? Because like, what are you afraid of losing? That he's going to like stop? But what he's giving you isn't what you want. So either you ask for it or you don't. So my idea is that she invites him to dinner, but she doesn't tell him it's her birthday. And she says, hey, you want to meet up at like 7 p.m. tonight at this nice restaurant that I like. So she's making a bold move. He like goes to type, and then he thumbs up it. Then you're like, okay, so I guess he's coming, So what she does is, how you make a reservation on a website and they ask, is it a special occasion? So I do this all the time. I'll say it's a birthday because I want free cake.
Yeah.
But sometimes I forget about it. And then they come up over and I'm like, why are you being so weird? They're like, it's a celebration. I'm like, what? And then I'm like, oh, right. Like, it's my fault. But anyway.
You forget that you put in the birthday reservation. And then you're like, this waiter is like really clingy. Like, what's going on?
It's like, are we having champagne? Like, what's a celebration? Anyways, so that's happened to me twice. Like, anyways, so she makes the reservation and she writes that it's her birthday. So then she's at the restaurant, and I just kind of like see the scene like filmed like Euphoria style, where it's like a close up on her, and then finally she realizes like, fuck, he's not coming,
Is she there alone, or she's invited her friends?
She's all dressed up, like she did it like as a date. It could be with her friends too, actually, but see, wouldn't work if there's friends actually.
Funnier if there's no friends.
But there's no friends. There's no friends. She just invited the guy, and then the waiter goes up. He goes, sorry, we're still doing the birthday thing because it's kind of, and she's like, yeah. like, and then you could just kind of like zoom out, and she like blows the candle, and then it's like failure number 1, but like she took action. So it's like, there's a positive in it. But the waiter going up to her to be like, bro, like, are we doing this cake thing?
Yeah.
It's kind of embarrassing. And then she's like, oh, yeah, let's just do it.
Yeah, like bring out the cake for one person.
I was telling my friend about this idea, and I'm like, I think it's really funny.
I think it's so funny.
And then she was like, it's really sad. It's like, well, yeah, but
it's really sad, but that's what's funny about it.
Yeah.
Is like that it's such a sad, and also,
but we have these moments all the time in life where like you trip or something. It's so embarrassing, but if you make light of it, just because I brought this up before, like Tyler is one of my friends that like I really value. Like we have really battery filling chats. So even when I was living in LA, like we'd speak on the phone for like hours, and he gave you some Tyler-tisms on his pod.
I have like a full-blown crush on him, by the way. I'm like in love with him.
He's great.
Tyler, if you're listening.
Shout out.
So I have 2 things that I now do because of Tyler. Before bed every night, I tell myself I love you in the mirror.
I do that too. It's so weird to do.
Yeah, it's so weird. And Tyler told me to do that. But the second thing is I live my life like as someone who likes to write, like I'm a role in the movie or something. So then it just kind of like one transforms how you act in different situations, because you're like, I don't want to be the fucking villain. Like you get kind of like a retrospect, but after you look at like your day or where you're heading, and it's funny because as someone who's like interested in writing and stuff like that, I'm able to have the most like traumatizing situations happen to me and then think of it of like, this actually could be funny or this could be, you know.
Oh yeah, I feel like I don't know if you guys relate. I feel like you might, but I feel like my entire life has been a series of like incredibly embarrassing situations and awkward situations. And since I was a kid, the only way I would like get out of it was I would pretend I was in a sitcom. Like I would just pretend I was the protagonist in a sitcom, and I would just be like, well, that's hilarious. That'll go in a show one day.
Yeah, it's
and my
plot.
My
like,
best
enter laugh track, like
yeah, one of my best friends, Olivia, like I'll tell her stuff that happens to me, and every time now it's a joke. She's like, write that down. It'll go in the TV show one day.
It's
like,
for the plot.
but it makes
It's all
everything
for the
just
plot.
not seem so bad. Like it's still bad, but
Yeah.
it's gonna be fine.
But you like, I find I just like remember like what's a show I love? Like, okay, like Insecure. Like in Insecure, Issa Rae gets put in these like super awkward, like cringeworthy situations, but then she like overcomes them, and that's what makes her such a good relatable character. And so you're like, well, if anything, I'm just relatable.
Yeah. Well, also like embarrassing things and like awkward things, like it's only embarrassing and awkward because you like put that like you give it that power. Like if you just like don't take anything seriously, like nothing's deep. Like nothing is that deep.
Nothing
like
is
you
that
don't need to
deep.
think about something for more than a day, unless it's like obviously like you literally like killed someone. Like maybe think about that for a few more days.
Just like
But
2 days.
just like 3 max. But like like it's really not that deep. You can just
Nothing
live
is
your
that
life
deep.
and just chill out.
Yeah.
you
What's
know?
the most recent embarrassing thing that happened to all of you? I have one. Okay. I have a laundry unit in my
I
building.
remember this.
Did I tell you this?
I was at your house when it happened, and you went downstairs to get the laundry.
Like so the laundry room, there's some peak hours, okay? And people get pretty impatient in the laundry room. So sometimes what they'll do is like if your stuff's in the dryer, they'll just like someone will just take it and just like throw it on like a counter next and just like dump all your shit and like touch your stuff, which kind of pisses me off because I'm like, I wouldn't like really touch on someone else's stuff like that, especially laundry and clothes. Like it just feels kind of invasive, but I get it. People have shit to do. And sometimes, I forget about the stuff in the dryer. I'll be honest. So I go down, Eva was staying with me. I go down and bro, I got this old ass pair of underwear that's like, bleached from as they do.
The cooch, yeah.
Bleached from the cooch. And it's fucking like out in the open, like waving like a fucking dirty flag. And I'm like, I am so fucking embarrassed. And I'm like, great. And then I'm like looking around. I'm like, now I have to pick up so everyone's gonna know. And it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm sure most guys like have girlfriends, have smelled it, have seen it,
Well,
whatever.
you need that one bad thong for like day 4 of your period when you just like decide it's
You
over.
need to
but
keep the
you
shitty
need, like,
underwear.
You just need the shitty underwear.
You need the shitty underwear to reuse during your
shitty times.
To shitty times.
It's not always peak hours. I'm not always wearing the best silky little thongs. Okay.
No,
I'm wearing
they're
the
so
shitty, dusty little granny panties.
Yeah, so
and I need them.
Yeah, well, my dusty granny panties were on display, and then I walk up to Evan. I'm like, "Tell me how." I go downstairs, and there's like, and I was so like embarrassed, but then immediately I was kind of like, it was kind of nice that I got to share it with you because I just was like, we were able to just like piss ourselves
Not
laughing.
only that, you're forgetting.
Oh God, what am I forgetting?
You're forgetting about, or maybe this was like another time I was
That's
at
possible.
your house.
This happens a
I was
lot.
on your phone, but you finally were like, you're like, I never move people's laundry like before it's done and move it over. And a lady had caught you finally like,
Oh yeah, one day finally I had to move her stuff, and that was a different time. But that was because there was literally no dryers, and hers was done, and she had her laundry bag like right next to it, and I was like, you know what, this will be a nice deed, and I like packed it for her. And then she came, and then her boyfriend came and picked it up and was like really confused. Like he came down, and he was like, oh, someone did my job. Okay. And he did ask no questions, by the way. The boyfriend asks 0 questions, picks up the laundry, goes to the unit. She, I guess, came down and then like came up to me and was like, was my laundry in that? And I go, yeah, I put it in the bag. And she was like, oh, okay, there's nothing left in the dryer. I go, no. She's like, oh, okay. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, because you're not supposed to get caught doing that shit.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm so sorry. Just like, it was really packed and like the bag was right there. So I just thought I would like put it in for you. And she was like, okay, thanks. And
she
then
just like didn't trust her boyfriend to get all of the
my
clothes.
favorite part of that
Right.
entire story, by the way, is that the boyfriend asked 0 questions, 0 follow-up questions.
I I love that. They're just like, all right, that's it. Is what it is.
He's like,
Yeah,
oh
yeah,
yeah.
that's what it is.
He's like, laundry service. This is what always happens.
That's what I'm trying to be. I'm trying to be like that. Like
Like,
just
I
like
manifested
men that are
this.
just like, it is what it is. You know.
I would love to.
Like they don't ask any questions. There's no sleuthing. They're just like, oh look, this is in my possession now. I don't know how I got it, but I guess it's mine. They just move on. It's Tuesday. Like it's crazy.
You're like, yeah, the world just manifested this for
Meanwhile,
me.
like I overthink every single interaction I have every day. I'm like, shouldn't have said. Like I overshare, and then also just like the littlest things. Like right now, I'm trying to be really intentional about like the pronouns and stuff like that. But it's like I have to think about it. And some mornings I'm just be like, hey guys, and then I go to my office and I cry, and I'm like, I shouldn't have said that. People are gonna think I'm fucked up, like I'm rude, and
Yeah.
like it's like
That's a tough one.
yeah, like but still, it's like and then how much I overthink it. Where someone would be like, okay, moving on with my day,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna tell 5 people about it and ask what they think that happened. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're trying, at least as long as you're like being intentional, you're trying your best. Like it's okay to make mistakes. My favorite thing is to watch Kira call super straight guys girl. Like she'll just be like, girl, bye. Girl,
love
dude,
that.
girl, bye.
Peter both.
Dude, and they hate it. It's so
hate it.
funny. It's
But
so funny.
I
They
call
hate
everyone
it.
girl. Like I'm like girl. Like it's not. It's not a like. There's no. It's not a
No, but I
pronoun
love
thing. It's
that.
not a
It's like
gender
the
thing.
dude,
I'm just like
but-
girl. Like I call everyone girl. I call my mom girl. I call my dad girl. We're all girl. And
Yeah.
so and then it's been
Everything
happening
is
with,
girl.
like, everything is girl. It is. It's girly pop. And so so it's been happening recently because I keep on doing shows with like lineups of men, and I'm friends with all these men, and so I'm like, well, they're my girls. Like that. These are my girls. And so I'm always like, especially like the super like manly men, you know, like the comic bros. Like I'll be like, they'll do a set, and I'll be like, get it, girl. Like that was fucking great.
Yes.
And it's always
Slay, girl.
Peter always goes, not girl. I'm a boy, not girl. It goes. He's like, you can't keep saying that to me. Yeah, it's so funny. I love it.
I love it. That's great.
I love calling men girl, not even woman, but girl.
Lady.
My girl. Yeah.
Yeah. I love girly pop energy. I'm so happy that it's
Because
back.
they are. There's so many men, especially in Montreal comedy scene, that are like the safest, most girly pop little men. And they love to be like,
so many.
I'm like a man. And you are, but you're a girl.
Yeah, they go on stage,
Like,
they're like talking about their dick, they come off. You're like,
I'm like, girly
no.
pop.
Girl, you're a girl.
Like, I'm gonna finger you later.
They're all girls. Like, they are.
That's so funny.
I feel like I embarrass myself at least once a day.
yeah.
And especially really early in the morning, like before it's okay to talk to people. And I feel like a lot of comedians or just people with ADHD like do this on the regular, but I'll go to a dep and then just like tell a secret to the person at the cash that like they didn't need to know. Like I told like I told the girl at the dep the other day that I was like, I took Canestin and I was feeling weird.
Matt just had a little girly giggle on the side. Like,
Okay, you know what was embarrassing recently when I called you and I was like,
well, you just said Canestin, so I think everyone knows what you're talking about.
I don't care.
Meister.
It was
I would say
in my,
Yeast-Evasion.
in
I
my
mean,
life I've never had one.
She's never had one, dude. By the way,
actually,
30
to be
years
honest,
old.
I've never had a yeast
30 years old, no
Easter.
yeast. 30-year-old, no
Greek
yeast.
yeaster.
It's Greek yeast. But like I knew nothing, and I call Michelle. I'm like, I'm starving. I'm like, I'm itchy. I don't know what's going on. Like maybe I didn't shave properly or something like that. She's like, bitch, you have to go to the pharmacy and get yourself some cream. You can't be rolling around town. Itchy.
Well, she's letting it fucking fester. No, because she calls me Monday, and then Friday she's like, I still have a yeast infection. I'm like, it doesn't just magically go away. It's not like
I just kept taking showers like every 2 hours. And I'm like, I just used the wrong razor.
She's like, I'm gonna wash it away. I'm gonna wash this away.
I'm going to the pharmacy and I'm like looking at the woman and I'm like, I'm not feeling good down there. And she's like, okay. She's like, what are the symptoms? I'm like, I'm just really uncomfortable and I'm itchy. She's like, well, that's a really broad spectrum. Like,
was this the cashier or the pharmacist?
this is the pharmacist.
Okay,
and she's
that's
even
less
kind of like
embarrassing.
looking at me and be like, you don't have that. Like, it has to be something else. I'm like, no, I just, like, I need something. She's like, all right, well, you can have the 3-day, the 6-day, or like the 1 day or whatever.
I don't know why they do it that way. They give you like so many different options. It's like, why would I take a 6-day if I can take a 1 day?
1 day, yeah. Blast it out.
Blast that shit out.
Nuke it.
Yeah. Just say radioactive right to the
Just get it out.
get her out.
I'm like, ooh, let's do like a 6 day. I'm kind of like, I kind of got attached to it. Like, I want to like say goodbye slowly.
It's kind of like a pet. I'm just gonna like slowly get rid of it.
You're like, okay, only 5 days left. Like, I'm just gonna like hold on a little longer.
I don't know. I would. Okay. I don't know. Comment if you're a 6-day monastag girl.
I don't know.
Whatever.
I just got here. I took the generic
Well, what did you do?
one.
What did you opt for? First timer, virgin. What did you do?
I did the 3-day.
Okay.
I did the 3-day.
Okay.
Just to make sure. But she was like, well, I'm not sure if this is what you actually have, but here's like, do the cream.
Yeah.
So
and that's on Women's Health, by the way.
Oh my God. No,
Dude, yeah, you have a bit of
it was the most terrifying thing I've ever looked at it. When I opened the box and I looked at the tube and I looked at the cream, I was like, this is an IKEA closet. Like, I don't know how to get the tube into the cream. I can't read the instructions. I'm actually embarrassed in my own home because I haven't got filled up in a very long time. And the first thing to fill me up is fucking Canestin or whatever.
Filled up by Canestin.
I call her. I'm like, how do you do this? Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm reading the instructions. I'm nervous. I'm blushing. My dog is staring at me. It's just her and I in the room. And she's like, you just need to fill it up and put it in.
Fill her up.
I looked at it the same way I looked at a tampon when I was in grade 7. I was like, what is this monster? Where do I put it? And I remember putting it in and like giving myself the treatment and immediately feeling violated by plastic. I was like,
They
I
definitely
sat
could
with
make the
myself for, like,
applicators
a
a little bit
second.
more comfy. Yeah.
Guys, don't put that in the I don't care.
But you know what's interesting too? It's like having these podcasts where people talk about these kinds of things. Because I feel like my whole life I wanted these like Sex in the City girlfriends who talk about that stuff, and I never had. Like, they don't talk about sex toys. They don't talk about, like, even when you're confused about your relationship, like, it feels like everyone holds on to their things so tight that you don't really like learn anything.
Yeah, they hold their cards close to their chest for sure.
I hope someone.
And now
who
for the
uses
first time in my life, I have these kinds of friends who we could talk about anything with. But even now when you don't, there's somewhere you could go listen to girls who are open.
Yeah.
Because like how that, like, I had a mom, I had 3 sisters. My mom did not teach us how to do anything. I think we
Nothing.
have very
Me too.
similar.
My mom either. Like, I think I struggled with it. My sister and I talk about this all the time. TikTok taught me how to do my makeup. I literally learned how to do my makeup at 28 years old.
TikTok taught me how to shave my coochie.
Yeah, I didn't know what an everything shower was.
I still like.
It's down, across.
Wait.
That's why I just get waxed.
Hang on,
I
wait,
don't know
what?
how that
Down.
works.
Wait, whoa. How do you shave your vagina?
I'm on coochie talk, and it is a
Okay, but how do you shave your vagina?
Okay, you need a couple products. Okay, you need the
Matt, take notes.
Johnson. You need the Johnson and Johnson's baby oil, shea butter, and shea butter and cocoa like oil.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then what you have to do first is you have to like make sure your entire bathroom is like steaming hot, apparently, like steaming hot.
Okay. Lots
It's
of
an
admin.
ambiance.
Lots of admin.
Okay.
Lots of admin. So then you go into the shower, steamy hot. Now you got to wait till your body gets soft. The things we have to do
So wait till you're. I'm
for
sorry,
men
my
to
body
finish
gets
in 3 seconds.
soft.
Okay?
Your body gets
Like they still like you need to soften your skin with the steam and like the heat and whatever. I tried it yesterday.
So you steam your pussy. You steam your pussy. Step 1, Johnson & Johnson.
Saute
You get the
cooch.
You get the EOS. You get the EOS cream. You get the disposable like razors. And what you do,
Men's
properly-
razors?
No, it's like a silk sensitive or something like
Venus
that.
or-
Yeah.
I can't wait for Pantelis to edit this episode.
Oh.
No.
Like, this bitch is talking about
Dude,
Canestin and shaving her
bro,
pussy.
He's King Canestin. He's got Canestin for his dog. He's all good. That was just for you while you're editing.
So you have to go down. Always shave down first, and then you go across. You shave across, and then you go up.
I just get a wax. I don't know. I'm not
Yeah,
trying.
I let some other woman take
Somebody
care
else
of
can deal
my,
with it. I don't-
take
I've
care
never
of my
even looked at my
vagina.
own
You're
vagina.
going
I don't-
down, across, down like it's a fucking crossword. What are we doing here?
That's the sign of the cross, baby. Just blessing my pussy before.
Oh my
she
God.
goes down.
Down, you go side. You go up.
I thought you were supposed to always just go
Against the grain.
against the
thought you were
grain.
supposed to
Just as women. They're like, go against the grain. I'm like, great. They're like, not like
She's
that.
like,
not like
saute
that.
the cooch and then cut against the grain.
Yeah.
Then you're supposed to lather yourself in this baby oil and you let it soak into the skin, and you're gonna have the smoothest munch chunker you've ever.
Munch chunker.
That's the newest flavor of Ben and Jerry's.
Have you guys ever had a really embarrassing sex moment that you like weren't sure that like the guy
Yeah,
noticed?
but I couldn't tell it. Like I literally couldn't tell it. It's so terrible.
I've only ever had embarrassing sex moments. I think that's all of that. That's like my case.
Isn't that what it is?
Have you ever had the queef argument with someone where a guy's like, you farted during sex, and you're like, no, I queefed?
No, because I feel like I don't think so. Maybe my first boyfriend, we had that argument, but I don't know. No.
Matt, what would you do if your girlfriend queefed? Do you guys think it's sexy when girls queef?
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah,
most guys just wouldn't say
Just
anything.
ignore it.
I think saying "Did you fart?" automatically we're on bad terms.
I'm not sleeping with the right
Don't
people.
point it
Like,
out.
don't point it out.
That didn't happen.
Breathe through your mouth. You know what I mean? That's all you have
Like,
to do.
so
Be a
guys
grown
have
up.
been, like-
Be a grown up.
Because apparently I like toot in my sleep, whatever. And guys,
It's healthy.
guys have been like, "Oh yeah, like you farted in your sleep." I'm like, I was dead. Like,
I wasn't even there.
You're like, that's not even my
like,
business.
I wasn't even awake.
Yeah,
like,
you're like, it's not my business. Don't bring
also,
it up.
like, you dreamed. Like, you're insane.
Also, how many times?
Gaslighting back.
How many times have you had sex with a guy and he says something and you're like, "Whoa, that's so
You just have to
embarrassing."
get up. You're like,
oh, what?
Oh, like the little dirty talk, like
Or like
the
if sometimes they try dirty talk and you're like, "Oh, that's embarrassing that you just said that." But like, we're gonna pretend.
One time I was hooking up with a guy, and he was doing me like doggy style, like against a window at the top of a building.
Nice.
Not to brag.
Not to brag, but WeWork was a great place. We worked.
We were.
Well, we worked. And then we crashed. But we worked and then we crashed. But I remember we were doing it, and then he just turns around and he goes, "Tell me you want my babies." And I just remember looking back and be like, "Pardon me?"
Excuse me, sir.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm not ready.
When someone says what and asks you to repeat something in bed, it's like the most embarrassing thing. Because I don't know about you, but there's been times where I'm like, okay, I want to say this thing that's like gonna be so hot, and then I'm like, I'm gonna say, okay, 3, 2, 1, say it, 3, 2, 3, and then I finally say it, and they're like, what? And I'm like, nothing, nothing.
Lovely weather.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Oh my god, yeah, that would ruin it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
You can't break character.
can't break character.
It's already hard enough for me to get in character where I'm like, I'm gonna say something hot. Like that's already So I need to be so deep into like the level of like comfort where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be hot. And then for you to be like, what? I'm like, never mind.
Yeah, we can't do a take two.
Imagine how like recently, I think one of you was talking about how now, you're nervous about what you post online because it might come back and you'll be able to imagine everything.
There's no point of like return now.
recorded.
Oh yeah.
How self-conscious
Oh, yeah.
you'd be.
Oh my God, no.
Like you'd never
Again,
want
that's
to
something
hear.
that's not
literally-
some things are just not your business. Okay, there's a list of things that aren't your business.
I
Okay?
wasn't there.
One, if you fart in your sleep, that's not my business. Not my business.
I wasn't even there.
People who watch my Instagram stories, not my business. Something that's not my business. Like all of it. Like what I say in bed,
Not my business. It's not even me. That's a character.
that's a character. Don't follow up on that. Like leave that in the moment. Leave it then. Leave it there. I don't want to hear it. I had one time a guy. I was like seeing. I guess we were like having sex, whatever. We were like sending sexy voice notes to each other, which is kind of like fun and exciting and whatever. And then we went to the grocery store, and we were on a nice wholesome date at the grocery store, and he out of nowhere decides he's gonna play my sexy voice memo in my ear in the middle of the grocery store. And I was like I actually I blacked out. I was like, never do that to me ever again. Ever. That's not my business. My sexy voice note, not my business. Not my business.
That's
not my business.
scarring.
Mine, yours, mine.
I can't even listen to myself on stage. I'm not listening to me being like, fuck yeah.
I remember one of my boyfriends and I accidentally made a tape. And I say tape because it was
accidentally.
we were drunk, like we were drunk or whatever. But
the tripod, the lights.
no. I say
Got a full light system. She's accidentally. She's got LEDs.
Yeah. He's got a boom.
I
boom going there with the full boom. He's like, well, he's accidentally.
We've been sponsoring it. Tyler's in the background being like, great job.
Yeah, it's all accidental.
I say tape lightly because it was really just like 4 or 5 seconds of by accident slow-mo of my butt. That's not my business.
No,
it doesn't look
not
like
your
what I
business.
thought it would look
I've
like.
had that
And the
too with
flash was on. Take me to the river.
I've had that too, where they film and then they put it like, why are you putting a slow mo on? Why
didn't know.
Why are you putting effects on our like? No, that is insane.
I did not know. I did
People
not.
tell you when they
Chill out.
film you always, or
Yeah, if they don't, that's bad. If they don't, that's
I did not.
that's like my biggest fear is that like because I'm always like so scared of that, and my biggest fear is that someone's gonna be like, by the way, I took this little clip. But I you know,
Yeah.
it
I
would
told him he
also
had
be like at that
terrible
point it would be
camera
my
memory.
boyfriend, and then he'd be like, we'd break up, and then it would be sad because I'd be like,
Now
that's
you
insane.
just like unlocked a new fear, okay? Because I have this thing where whenever, let's say, you're trying to take a picture of yourself, and then a man is like, "I'll help," you're like, "Oh, it's gonna be the worst picture I've ever seen." Like
literally the worst picture.
And then
Yeah.
he's trying so hard because
They
he's
do.
like running around,
They do try
going
hard.
the lowest as like, what are you trying to capture? Like,
it's like they only want your neck and chin.
yeah,
that's the only angle they
just
wanna see
be
from
straight. But like every time, I'm like, okay, that's enough, because I know I'm deleting those like right away. But but then whenever a guy like posts a story, he'll put like 8 fucking ugly filters on it. Like there's just like no. So I can't imagine him filming something sexual and editing it, like putting it freaking
Gross.
slow mo. Oh my god.
No,
It's actually a
I
hate
didn't
crime.
need to know my
It's a-
body could ripple that way. We didn't need to go skipping rocks on my ass. I
don't need to
my
know
butt
what
meat didn't need to be like that HD. I never wanted to have sex.
I've
again.
never wanted to know what the Google Pixel could do.
She's like, my ass don't clap, it's tsunami, bro.
It's like one of those wave pools at Calypso.
Oh my god.
Not that information because when I'm doing it, I'm like, I'm the hottest person.
When you're doing it, you're like, this
Waves
looks
are
great.
cool. Waves are cool.
No,
That's what everyone says. If everyone has a wave tattoo, that's just your ass.
You know the Mummy, when there's that like underground monster in the sand and you just see the sand monster just come through in these bumps? Like that was my ass.
But men taking pictures, so true. So why somehow, even though most of you have iPhones, they all have a Nokia from 2001.
Those are the strongest and best phones. I don't care what it is.
Sometimes
I
I'm
love
like,
a green bubble boy.
Yeah.
A green bubble boy is a good boy.
a green bubble boy, controversial take, but the just camera quality, it's just so bad. It's like the amounts of times per week I think I've texted you being like, why did that guy put because and the thing is the intention is super sweet. Like they'll take a picture of you on stage doing your thing and they're like, I'm gonna tag her, and it's like really sweet. And then it's just like you look at it and you're like, why do I look like that?
Yeah.
Why do I look like that?
Men taking photos of me on stage as a comic is the source of my body dysmorphia. I'm always like, is that what I look like? And then you're like, no, let me take a photo of you at the same angle on stage. Like I'm a woman, and then I'm like, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Like,
Ariane is
what I
the
look like.
only person allowed taking photos.
Only person.
Like we've all collectively agreed on this already. Ariane is
like-
the only one allowed to take
Like
photos of
men,
us.
women, I'm like, I want you to see yourself the way I see you. You know, like that's why
Yeah.
I'm like working on like the most beautiful version that like when I think about you, that's what I think about. But guys love the like HDR effect. Like they want to take every picture like it's like an old black and white person with like lines everywhere. Like they want to see, and they're like, this is human. It's like, no, it's horrible.
But it's kind of sweet. Like at least like I do feel like in my experience, men really like the candid photos where you look like shit and you're not watching, and they like love taking photos at times like that. And it's probably sweet. Like it's probably because they're like, you're always beautiful, but you're like, not on my story though. Like I don't need to be that beautifully ugly on my story.
Yeah.
Like,
I always thought they were doing that to bully me. Like it's like, oh, you think you're pretty on Instagram? Look at this. And then I'm like, is that how you see me? Like this is the worst.
Yeah, after a while, like there was a month where it happened quite a bit, and I was like texting Karen, I was like, bro, this is like fucking killing me. And then I was like, this is a scam. I was like, you're all in on it. This is a scam. Like this is the biggest scam of all time. Like you want me to look ugly on fucking Instagram.
Well, also like,
And they don't take good pictures of each other, by the way. Let's just be clear. It's not just women. Like,
and they have the best cameras.
Oh yeah.
Still not doing a good job.
You need to date a guy who is a film photographer or a videographer.
But don't you find like there's like two types of green bubble boys? Like there's the green bubble boys who like don't have Instagram, and then there's the green bubble boys who like don't shut the fuck up about the fact that like their phone can fold in half and upside down, and Androids are the fucking best because look at this big camera I got to take pictures of the
Google
sky.
Pixel 45. I don't care, Brian. I never asked.
like, grow up, buy an iPhone.
Yeah, but you're right. But I like the green bubble, no Instagram.
Yeah, it's something
That's
about,
my
like,
shit.
against the grain kind of doesn't, you know.
Even like if they I don't mind if they have an Instagram, but like when they're not active, holy shit.
Yeah, that's what gets you
Let's
lit.
get
You're like,
married.
yeah, you're like, no Instagram, perfect. Wrap it up. Let's
Actually,
do it.
we had this conversation yesterday with a male friend of ours who we were talking about people who have like a private account, no followers. And my take is that women who are like that often are the ones who are the most obsessed with everything that you do on Instagram and are like, and I wonder with guys, I would actually say the same. Like the people that are the least active, there's the ones that it's like, I don't care. I spend no time on this. My entire feed is anime, whatever. But then there's the ones that it's like, I don't post anything because I'm private, but I'm an investigator and I'll know everybody who liked or did and I'm like, you know? So some people, when they say, I would never date a girl who has 1,000 followers or whatever, I'm like, watch out for the people who are obsessed with Instagram, but don't post anything, because we use it as like a promotional tool or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I'll be meeting
just
people.
to repost the show that you're going to be on, pretty much.
It's just a
But
career.
I even use it to
Can
like,
anyone see this? Look.
I like tennis, so I post about tennis. Then I get tennis friends. Like I really use it as a manifestation tool.
No,
Basically,
your Instagram is really good.
Thank you. Follow me.
Really good.
No, I'm just kidding. But the people who don't, they obsess with like, well, how come they're following you, or who's this people on your comment? I'd be like, I don't even look at who watches my stories. Like that's how single I am. First of all,
Me too. That's how single. Oh my God. Me too. That's how single I am.
But like I don't care. But sometimes I'll be even with a girlfriend and she'll like, let's say I'll hang out with Eva and then she'll like tell me things about who Eva's friends with or whatever. And I'm like, yo, like that's low key, you're a creep. Like, why do you care so much about who I hang out with? Why are you deep diving on that? So to go back to the Android guide with the green, like there's different ones. There's the ones that really genuinely like don't spend that much time on their phones. So they don't want to spend that much money on it or whatever it is. But then there's the people who are like obsessed with social media.
Well, I think the people who are private, sometimes there's like people private, no profile pic, and like those people are like,
I block them.
They're creeping.
Yeah.
They're doing stuff
Like they only made the account to
they're
stalk.
full investigation. They want to like see what's going on. I think Instagram is a really big confidence app. Like it's an app where it really challenges you to be very confident. And I think the same of TikTok, and I think that's why I struggle with it.
A whole other monster.
It's funny, like my socials are so, I'm not very, considering my job is to be a social media manager for a brand, I'm so involved in their social media strategy and posting and consistency. And then when it comes to mine, I just drop the ball completely. I just don't have any desire to like build up my own platforms, which probably isn't good based on my industry. But I just like, I don't know. I just like, I think it gets to me a little too much sometimes. It becomes too like, oh, I'm a brand and I'm gonna do this and then I'm gonna compare myself and all that stuff is just I can't care.
But maybe it's a good thing because you're so strategic about it at work that on your own it's like just a creative tool. Like because when I used to have my marketing agency, like my Instagram was really like I was the face of my company. It was like everything was like so important, and now it's just like just my memories and like I'm gonna try to do this like whatever this like effect or something just for fun, like and that's what Instagram used to be. It used to be like us playing.
It's nice
fun.
for memories. Honestly, going through like your archive stories is so fun, and that's why I like keeping those memories. But I do really like separating. Like I'm so in the social zone and looking at analytics and looking at like posting frequencies and all this strategy when I'm working. So then when I'm not working, I'm not trying to be like, how many times should I post? Like I have no energy for that. So I just for the memories.
But then do you see it? Because I noticed that people who don't obviously work in digital, they purely see Instagram as a dating app. And I zero think of Instagram like that.
Zero think of Instagram
If
as a
Instagram
dating
is a
app.
dating app, then I am possibly celibate because there's nothing happening.
My DMs are empty.
Do you get DM'd from guys? You have, but like both of you have like over 10K. So like, do you find like you get a lot of people sliding in?
I get like people
get
saying,
nobody.
I get people saying like weird things, or sometimes I'll think I'm special because I'll get a guy being like, "Hey, sweetie, can I give you $500?" You don't have to do anything, and then my friend gets the same message. I'm like, I wasn't even special.
I'm like, I don't need to work. I have a backup plan.
I'm like, I'll show you my toes.
Kurt will take care of me from Maine.
I'm gonna be fine.
I don't know. I think I have people who I know follow me, like say weird things sometimes, but it also takes me everything to post. Like it's easier for me personally to talk to a camera. I have no problem talking to a camera. I'll share stories on TikTok randomly. I have no strategy because I'm just trying to get
it out.
comfortable.
Get it out. Yeah.
However, taking a sexy or like a posed selfie or photo, worst nightmare.
Same.
I had to I tried yesterday.
See, like I
was
love a thirst trap.
I'm
But you're
not
good at them.
You're so
You're
good
so
at
good at
I'm
them.
not.
Like
You're
I get so much heat,
effortless.
but dude, I get so much heat from my thirst trap. So like people are just like, "Oh, this is a thirst trap." I'm like, "No shit, it's a thirst trap." Like my tits are fucking out. Like, what do you think? Well, you think obviously
This wasn't an intellectual play. Okay?
Yeah,
Like the titties are out. Okay?
thanks for letting me know what I was doing, but they kind of make fun of me. That's what I get. I don't even
That's
get
because
guys
you have a lot of
sliding
guy
in.
friends, and they're like uncomfortable with you being.
She's in the
Sexual in
boys
the bed.
club.
I'm in the boys club.
She's in the boys
Except
club.
not really because they.
But I'd rather they acknowledge it and make fun of me than pretend. I don't know.
I've gotten some weird messages. One time I got a message from a comic in Montreal who shall remain nameless. And it was like, sent me a message and was like, dude, the creepiest comic in the city just sent me this photo. I'm not going to, sent me your story. And he was like, I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I just want to let you know. And I was like, this is the most useless fucking message I've ever
And that's
received.
that's literally
protect yourself for guys that are gonna be creeps, and it's like, well, I'm gonna live my life. Like,
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it did feel good, but I was like,
You're like, even the creepiest ones, fuck with me. I love that.
I have one reply guy that I met at a show. I did a show in Richmond Hill, and he wanted to take me on a date, but he was like a guy who was like, "We're gonna go on a date. You're so beautiful. You're all this stuff," but then like never actually goes on a date with you. You know, he just like likes to like.
they
he
wait
likes
till
to
you're out of town to be, hey, when you're back.
Yeah, he likes to like cosplay that but I think he just likes to like from afar. Like he loves from afar. So now I'm just like, you're just a fan. And I have one fan, and every once in a while he'll like slide in and make me feel good. And I'm just like,
Nice.
I find it really like funny when guys sort of slide in or approach you after a comedy show, especially based on your my material. Like somebody like after the Zoo Fest show and Just for Laughs this summer slid into my DMs and was like, seems like you were looking for someone or something, or seems like you're whatever, like kind of like trying to be like, seems like I could be good for you. And I didn't answer because I'm in a relationship. Anyways, but
Huge brag.
Huge brag.
Huge flex.
Anyways, so I didn't answer whatever, and then he kept messaging, being like, "This is try number 2 to get Kira's attention. This is try number 3." And I was like, it was very sweet, but I didn't answer. But it just always like boggles my mind because my entire set is about having commitment issues, having stomach issues, and like shitting myself.
The Holy
and
Grail.
then and I'll like sometimes I'll come off stage after being like, yeah, IBS baddie, and guys will like prescribe me like probiotics. Like they'll be like, I use this probiotic, it's like really good. I'm like, are you hitting on me? Like I'm telling you that I shit myself.
It's like, I just want to save you, baby.
What? Like it's just so weird.
That is weird,
But I do-
kind of nice.
Super
at the
sweet.
same time.
Solution-based men.
Because I've never been like oh, like this is so like annoying. Like it's not annoying. It's kind, it's sweet, but it's very strange.
Yeah.
But it's sweet, but it's also like they think that you're out there because you're desperate, and then they're like, oh, I'm interested in you, even if you're gross, or if you're like, you know what I mean?
I know. Well, now I know.
Like,
You don't.
whenever I say
You're like,
I'm
I like your
single,
dirty
then
ass.
they'll
Yeah.
come and say, oh no, I'm down, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not fucking desperate. Like I'm just single. It's
Yeah.
not because I have zero options.
Yeah.
But if anything, you as a woman, you speak up about like who you are or something, and then they'll think like, oh, I'll tell her I don't mind.
Yeah, she needs saving. Yeah.
I'll be the one guy that is okay with the girl shitting.
But it just goes to show,
I'll be
you
that
can
guy.
be like gnarly as hell, and guys do not care. If you are just on a stage, they probably didn't even listen to what you were saying.
You know what? We talked about this the other day. It's like I feel like growing up, every woman's biggest fear is that like their vagina stinks, right? And then I'm just like, dude, have you ever fucking gone to any man's apartment? Like the last apartment I went into literally smelled like someone died. I was like, you can deal with you can deal with the vagina.
Did you still hook up with him?
I did.
Girl, you need enough level.
It's bad.
Michelle, did he have a bed frame?
Yes.
Michelle, did he have a fitted sheet?
Yes.
Was it navy blue?
No.
Oh, he's
Did
different.
he have a blanket with a blanket cover?
He had a
like a
comforter.
duvet?
Did both his pillowcases have pillowcases?
Yeah.
Maybe something just died under his house, like a raccoon or
his
like
dignity.
A bird.
Maybe he has COVID.
Maybe he needs Canested.
But it was like the apartment was just like a musty smell. But like, you know what I mean? Like the standards for like clean men is so
hygiene
low.
standards
But
are
why
so
do we
low.
say that? So we set that, right? Because
Yeah,
we're okay
yeah.
with it.
We're
Like,
okay.
do we set their hygiene standards?
Well, it's different. Like even like I took a class in school, like a pop culture class and we were talking about how like marketing for like fragrance marketing for women towards like women versus men is so different. Like women are marketed to smell like delectable. Like we're marketed to smell like edible. We're marketed to smell like vanilla and like marshmallow and like candy. Like people want to eat us. Whereas men are marketed to smell musky and forest and wood and tree and like that's like hot. You're hot if you smell like a house. And it's like so it's like so different. So now we have all these like biases in our mind that like we have to smell sweet and tasty and they can just like smell real. And it's like that's not how it is.
That's not fair.
It's not natural.
Yeah.
Smell like a Folgers cup.
Yeah.
But I also love natural scent. That's the number one tester of like if you really like someone is like if you fuck with their pheromones.
If you
like
fuck with their pheromones,
if you
it's
like
game
their
over.
natural scent morning, like no teeth brush, no shower scent, you love them.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah. And if they stink, it's so bad. I was talking, I'll say this last thing and then we have to wrap up the first ep, but this was so much fun. But I was talking to my sister about this. There's a guy that I know and his odor is so bad to me. And I don't think he's a bad smelling guy, but he just fucking stinks to me to the point where like I get, and it's just like natural, like let's say like after a run or something, or like if we, cause like I've worked out with him and stuff. And it's just like after that, like I'll smell him and I'll just be like, oh my God, like it makes me want to vom. And I feel so bad that it does because I know it's not him. It's just the fact that like biologically, like our chemistries are just like absolutely not, which is good because he's, you know.
I was gonna say emotionally, like he's also
Someone likes
have
his
like
stank.
differing.
She puts that on.
Yeah, she puts that on him so that no other girls like him.
Oh my God, that is.
How hilarious.
Oh my God, there should be cheap proof perfumes, you know? Just like you spray your boyfriend with like the rankest scent and you're like, this makes you smell good, baby. And then he smells like,
You're like, babe, I love when you smell it.
when he tries to cheat on you. It explodes.
other women release the scent. Like the touch of other women releases the
blue,
scent.
like he's stealing a bank bag. So everyone knows he tried to cheat on his way out.
That's actually kind of a genius idea. I think we should write that down.
There
Like,
should be, oh my
stinky
God, okay,
scents.
wait, it's gonna be a perfume that you spray on a man and it only releases like the oils and scent only release when they come in contact with female touch. And then also it's a black light. So you spray your boyfriend and then there's like you can black light check if he's got kiss marks.
Yeah.
We're super mentally sane.
Very mentally
I always say
stable.
I'm not a jealous person, but I am an entrepreneur. So
Get that bag, girl.
Get that bag. I mean, I want to. I'm single and I'll buy that.
it's like Chuck E. Cheese, you know, like when they used to put black light numbers so you wouldn't get kidnapped.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at that.
Now you won't get kidnapped, bitch.
Hey. All right. We'll leave it there. Thank you guys for doing the first episode. We've got so many more to go. Come back next week for more of this lovely dynamic. Thank you, Matthew, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye. 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 Bye.
Is it me? Is it me?